Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is June the 18th, 2026. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hopefully, the day treated you nice. It treated you right. As for me, as for mine, I've had a good day. It's been solid. I did yet again, as is the trend for the week. I woke up a bit early, but I will say I was able to fall back asleep, which was nice. I say back asleep. It was one of those where I was kind of half awake, half asleep, but it felt a little bit more like sleep. So we'll take it. But last night it was some pretty nasty storms. I believe there was like some tornado action in Illinois. And then, but I mean, I had even heard that there might have been some tornado sightings in Middletown, which is a area close to me. So yeah, I was hearing some sirens go off as I was like, laying my head on the bed, and I was like, "Ooh, should I be worried? Should I seek shelter?" I did not, but hey, we lived. Hashtag we lived. So today was a new day, brand new. I got myself together, and we went to work, as is tradition. Work was not too bad. I will say it was painfully slow. And I'm also in a situation now where I don't want to use my PTO like I kind of have been. I've been kind of microdosing it, like getting out an hour early on Thursdays and Fridays when it's really slow. But because I need to kind of start saving it up, I think, for either medical stuff, whatever. I need to just kind of stand strong and hang out at work when there's literally nothing to do. But it got so slow that not only did we clear out the crusher, so everything was done there, I searched both floors, no putbacks, no grade bins, and I think I spent about 30 minutes to an hour just cutting down boxes. And I probably could have, maybe made that last another 20 minutes or so. But we got to about 3:20ish, and I was like, "Yeah, let's pack it in. Let's call it." So we got done. I went to the gym. Gym was good, solid workout. Once again, the old in and out. Then I came home. I did skip the stretch, and then I skipped the initial snack that I normally have because I was tired. I think the whole day just kind of caught up with me, the whole week of just kind of getting up an hour early. And I was like, let's just take a nap. So I took a nap, which was nice. And then got up, had my snack, didn't stretch. Looks like we're fully skipping the stretch. Sorry about it. But did some research. And we got some news to talk about, some things to yap about. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, boom. El agua. I can't have said that right. my Spanish is very muy mal. uh. Okay. From the Associated Press. Supreme Court sides with a Texas man who says it's not a crime for marijuana users to have guns. The Supreme Court ruled Thursday against a broad federal ban on gun ownership by marijuana users, the latest in a line of firearm cases from a court that has expanded gun rights. The justices decided unanimously in favor of Ali Daniel Hemani, a Texas man who argued that a law barring guns from anyone who regularly uses illegal drugs violates the Second Amendment. I'm going to pull from another Associated Press story. Um, let's see. The Justice Department is also asking the justice to revive a criminal case against Ali Danal Hemani, a Texas man who was charged with a felony because he had a gun in his house and acknowledged smoking marijuana every other day. The FBI agents also found a small amount of cocaine when they searched his home as a part of a broader investigation, but the gun charge was the only one filed against him. But yeah, going back to the initial article, the justices decided unanimously in favor. I already read that. My bad. Justice Neil Gorsuch wrote that his opinion narrowly limits the government's power to take guns away from drug users who are not considered dangerous. Hemani, who was not charged with any other crimes or accused of using the weapon under the influence, is thankful he finally has closure. Lawyer Zachary Newland said. The decision is a loss for President Donald Trump's Republican administration, which has defended the 1968 law despite arguing against other gun restrictions. Its core argument fails under every measure, Gorsuch wrote. The law was originally meant to keep guns away from dangerous people, but the millions of people who now use marijuana can't all be characterized that way, Gorsuch wrote. While recreational use is illegal under federal law, about half of states allow it, and cannabis use for health purposes is widespread. Let's see here. We're going to scroll ahead a little bit. Recreational use remains illegal under a federal level, even after the Trump administration reclassified medical marijuana as a less dangerous drug in April. So yeah, we had initially covered this when the Supreme Court took on the case. So I figured, hey, let's just, close it out here. For me personally, this is like almost like a weirdly bittersweet case. I do think that this is the right call. I agree with the justices on this. Even though y'all know how I feel about guns and all that kind of shit. I think when you look at the Constitution, you interpret it, and then you also look at how we have handled marijuana at this point, where we are at with it. It does make sense that you should be able to have a gun and also be able to smoke, unless you are, under the influence and, it is something that is making you, a dangerous person. I'm thumbs up on this overall. Obviously, it's not the perfect situation or whatever, but I agree with the decision on this. So this is a little bit more yada, 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 but we'll go ahead and move along. Let's see. Our next story is from also the Associated Press. South Dakota man whose life sentence was commuted by Noem now implicated in his niece's death. Excuse me. Two men, including one whose life sentence was commuted by then South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, have been charged in the death of a 14-year-old girl whose body was found in a rural area 5 days after she went missing in March. McKenna Wendell was reported missing March 13th and last seen alive in her hometown of Sioux Falls early on March 14th. Her body was found outside Brookings, an hour's drive north of Sioux Falls, on March 19th. Wendell's uncle, Mark Milk, 51, also Sioux Falls, now faces 5 counts related to her death. Milk was almost 3 decades into a life term on a manslaughter conviction when Noem commuted his sentence in 2023. Wendell was raised by her grandparents, loved animals, and had a vibrant personality and a zest for life, according to her obituary. She and her grandparents were Rosebud Sioux tribe members and attended powwows often. She loved singing and the beautiful sounds of the drums, her obituary read. Details about Wendell's death remained thin as authorities who announced the charges in a Sioux City, Iowa, news conference Thursday kept close what they knew to protect their investigation. Let's see, I'm skipping a bit. Milk faces 5 counts, including possession with intent to deliver cocaine that caused Wendell's death. He is also charged with transportation of a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, according to court documents. John Rodness, 38, of Brookings, faces conspiracy and accessory charges and an alleged attempt to cover up the crimes. The counts against the men were the most serious, readily provable charges, and all originated in Iowa, Olson said. This is a horrific case. FBI agent Gene Cole said, "There are no cases that we investigate that are more heart wrenching and more tragic than the ones that involve children or the death of a child." Let's see here. Court records show no lawyers listed for Milk and Rodness, and no relatives could immediately be located through phone records and social media to speak. In February 2023, Noem commuted Milk's life sentence for a manslaughter conviction in October of 1993, stabbing death. Milk, then 19, had been involved in several altercations in the city of Winter that ended with the death of Sean Pinot, according to records. Milk was in jail on unrelated allegations of driving under the influence and eluding police when Wendell's body was found. His name came up in public discussion about the case from the start, but prosecutors who finished their investigation in late May did not formally link him to Wendell's death until filing charges Wednesday. Let's see here. We're closing out here. Once again, kind of circling back to Noem. A Republican, 54, was South Dakota's lone congressperson from 2011 to 2019 and governor from 2019 to 2025. She was Homeland Security Secretary before being fired in March by President Donald Trump amid criticism of her handling of the administration's immigration crackdown and disaster response. So yeah, this was a pretty sad story. Using the words heart-wrenching again, for sure. But I was definitely puzzled as to, I wonder what Kristi Noem's motivation was for doing that commutation. What, like, was there any kind of political gain in that for her? Because honestly, like, straight up, obviously this leads to something very upsetting and sad, but I was like, that almost seems progressive for her to look at that case and go, oh, I'm gonna commute this person's sentence or pardon or whatever. So I don't know. I was curious if there was any other angles there, but I didn't really dig any deeper outside of this story. But still, it's unfortunate. I don't really want to, clown on Noem, because at the end of the day, I do think that decision was like, oh, that would have been a good thing. If a liberal governor or whoever kind of governor does that, I would be like, all right, thumbs up. It's just, obviously, I think Kristi Noem deserves all the fucking tomatoes for being, just a terrible, I don't know, government official, person, what have you, dog owner. But that's neither here nor fucking there. Obviously, very sad that someone lost their life in the situation. So, trying to keep the focus on that. But yeah, we can go ahead and keep it moving. I just wanted to, when I saw that story, I just wanted to talk about that, dig into that a little bit, and yeah, just let me with nothing but questions, really. But we have one more big story I wanted to cover, and I think, maybe there's a little extra one here. So I'm going to take a water break at least. But yeah, this is coming out from The Guardian. The billionaire hidden behind the curtain inside Trump's Pentagon. Now, I will say, this is a bit of a reader. I don't think I'm going to read through the whole article. It's very fucking long. But I would suggest, if you're interested in this kind of thing, by all means. Like, this shit is giving, like, really it's like Oz or something. Really like the man behind the curtain type shit. Obviously it's still fuck Hexeth, but this guy is also particularly evil in like a classico kind of way. The only available video over the last 15 months of the official who really wields power in Donald Trump's Pentagon is a cartoon animation. Released in May on X by the U.S. government, it shows a silver-haired figure in a gray suit lighting up a cigar and sitting at a massive wooden desk with a nameplate, Deep Sec War Feinberg, which I believe is Department Secretary of War Feinberg. It's just like abbreviated. It's like one of the shitty drawings. It's like those shitty like web info-y kind of things. Like it's that kind of style. It's really hacky. Steven Feinberg, the 66-year-old billionaire founder of the private equity giant Cerberus Capital Management. And I love when these motherfuckers use names like this. Like, why are we going with what is it? Peter Thiel's Palantir? Why are we using names like that? That's spooky, that's evil, We got Cerberus Capital Management here. has served as the Deputy Secretary of Defense since March of 2025. His boss, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, boo, makes frequent appearances working out with troops or insulting reporters at press conferences, and posts often on social media. But Feinberg does not show his face. He has been obsessively media shy for decades and is so reclusive that since his confirmation hearing, he has not testified to a single committee on Capitol Hill, has held no press conferences, and given no interviews. His press spokesperson left the government months into his tenure and has not been replaced. So I gotta say, even though I think this guy is fucking evil, I gotta respect the hustle in that regard, because it's just like, it seems these days it's a lost art to be this kind of evil money man, to be this kind of like dark power broker. Like, it just seems like everyone wants to model themselves after a Donald Trump because that works. You know, you get this populism thing, you get like this whole cult of personality, whatever the fuck. But like, it's just constantly stinky loser ass behavior. But, you know, there's so many of these kind of guys behind the scenes that have so much fucking money and have so much fucking control and influence. So once I saw this story, I was like, oh, I want to pull on this thread and just kind of see where it leads, at least through this article. Still, 10 people across Capitol Hill, the Pentagon, and the defense contracting community say Feinberg has far eclipsed Hegseth in actual influence and impact. Everything is centered around Feinberg, one veteran Pentagon bureaucrat said. I don't think that there's anything that goes on that he doesn't have a stake in, said a financier familiar with his operations in the department. There is no evidence that Feinberg is engaged in Hegseth's ideological crusades inside the building, scratching women or black people from the promotion lists, for example, or negotiating with the Scouts about its policies towards trans children. He's perfectly happy to let Hegseth do. I like the sentence. He's perfectly happy to let Hegseth do that horse shit, so long as Hegseth stays out of his hair and he can do what he wants, said Winslow Wheeler, a defense analyst and former government accountability officer or office official. And that's the thing, that like, these, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that motherfuckers like Hegseth aren't scary, that aren't frustrating and aren't demoralizing to see these motherfuckers like constantly just like tout and say the stupidest, dumbest shit and have like such a strong impact and effect and change people's lives and alter people's fucking careers and shit. But there's also a guy like this that is just like the textbook traditional, like, no, I'm fucking up America. I'm gonna take your tax dollars and I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do with it. And like, this is very scary. Like, just so fucking scary. The fact that it's like, I didn't know about this guy till today. And he's been around for so long, apparently. And there's so many motherfuckers like this. It's, Feinberg had, did I already read this? No, I didn't. Okay, Feinberg has unprecedented control over the Pentagon's vast procurement network and a remarkable new ability to invest in defense companies with taxpayer dollars, all to remake the so-called industrial base of the military contracting world. Both his critics and supporters say Feinberg shredded the old, cumbersome rules of government weapons acquisition and seems to have turned the Pentagon into its own private equity powerhouse. To help him, he has seeded the department with his loyalists, current or former executives of Cerberus. He is empowering to change the military-industrial complex. Isn't this like cronyism? I don't know. I'm a fucking dumbass, but like, I feel like this is also that kind of shit too. Let's see. Feinberg briefly was the center of unwanted attention this month when a CIA official faced federal charges for allegedly lying about his background. Federal agents wrote David Rush had stashed millions of dollars worth of gold in his house. That might sound like a familiar story because we did cover it on the pod. Feinberg official said supported Rush in a phone call to the agency before learning of the scandal. A Pentagon spokesperson said Rush and Feinberg didn't have a close personal relationship of any kind. I'm not believing that at all, but I do find that tie to be very interesting. I would like a smarter, more learned person to maybe dig into that for me and put it on a podcast, please, or like, I don't know, put it on in a magazine, because there's got to be something there. What the fuck? I don't know. One Cerberus alumnus who joined Feinberg is George Kolatides, a senior executive advisor to Feinberg, who SEC filings show maintains a seat on investment companies' board of directors. Another is Thomas Rakusan, whose work at Cerberus followed a tenure at the CIA as a case officer and is another senior advisor to Feinberg at the Pentagon. A third is David Lorch, a Cerberus managing director running a multi-billion-dollar office to invest in critical minerals and strategic industries. John Gallagher, a Cerberus managing director who was also brought in by Feinberg, and his LinkedIn profile describes him as Feinberg's senior advisor and deputy chief of staff, though two sources say he has moved to other duties at the Pentagon. Even at an agency where generals and CEOs stroll through revolving doors in a predictable pattern, Feinberg's Cerberus crew at the DoD has achieved extraordinary amount of influence. Feinberg and Cerberus have had a breadth of investments that run parallel to Pentagon priorities. How convenient. For example, Cerberus owns Stratolaunch, a hypersonic flight test company that it purchased in 2019 that announced a new $90.8 million Pentagon contract in January. Hypersonics, high-speed maneuverable missiles, have been a key item on the DoD shopping list. Months before Trump won the 2024 election, Cerberus bought control of a federal contracting company called M1 Support Services, which supplies training and operations to the U.S. military. This year, it launched a Saudi Arabian subsidiary. Feinberg said in 2025 that once he joined the government, he would fully divest holdings in Cerberus and its affiliates. Perhaps, he said, he would donate them to trusts owned by his adult children. In March of 2025, he certified that he did divest. It's like, motherfucker, I don't care. This is just like when Trump says, oh, I don't own this company, my kids run it. Motherfucker, you are making the money. Your whole family is making the fucking money. Plus, you have been in this company for 34 fucking years. Like, Senator Warren, we're going to be skipping this part. Like, you're right. Cool for sending those letters. But it's like, you've been a part of this company. You've made so much motherfucking money at this company. It's a part of you. To just simply say, I divest this shit is it's kind of useless to me. It doesn't hold any weight or water. At the end of the day, he is probably in some way, shape, or form still tied to this company and still making money off of this company, whether he's at the helm of it or not. So the fact of the matter is that, oh, somehow, some way, you guys have just become, betwixt with the Pentagon here. It's not surprising at all. And I get the feeling that somehow, some way, there's some money that leads into your fucking pocket. So, yeah, like I said, this is what you expect from the bad guys. This kind of guy. We're going to scroll ahead a bit. After Feinberg brought his team in February this year, a newly formed blank check company in the British Virgin Islands launched an effort to raise $250 million. The company, D. Boral Acquisition 1, was sponsored by Boral Capital, a boutique firm that has underwritten ventures of the Trump family, including Trump's media company. The new BVI firm raising the money listed its directors on February 12th, 2026. One was Kevin McGurn, who was an advisor to Trump Media and Technology Group at the time and is now the interim CEO. Another board member was Kolatides, who was already working for Feinberg at the DoD. In the SEC filing, Boral described former Cerberus partner Kolatides as senior executive advisor to the Deputy Secretary of War. Kolatides, the filing says, was also a senior advisor to the investment advisory firm called Alvarez and Marshall. Let's see here. I mean, this shit runs pretty fucking long. They do run into a bit of his history in terms of, kind of where he came from. Feinberg graduated in 1982 with a bachelor's degree from Princeton University, where he was the captain of the tennis team. Hegseth graduated from the same school 21 years later. Hegseth announced last year the alma mater he and his deputy share was now too woke, and military officers can't go to Princeton anymore for their education, which is some silly fucking culture war bullshit. But once again, he just can't help jerking him shit over this. He just loves it. Anyway, our little beatnik war poet. Feinberg was obsessively secretive from the start. In a rare disclosure in 2006, a Portfolio magazine reporter quoted Feinberg from a shareholder meeting as joking, "We try to hide religiously. If anyone at Cerberus has his picture in the paper and a picture of his apartment, we will do more than fire that person. We will kill him." Ha 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 ha, laugh. I don't know, man. I could do, but wait, there's more. This shit runs a bit long, and unfortunately, I have a little bit of a time restraint. So we will move on to more or less our last story for the night, for the day, depending on when you're listening, I suppose. And this is just for me. I literally was just saying I'm just gonna do some personal reading for myself, and then my hater just I just gotta yap on the pod. I gotta do it on main. What can I say? So yeah, we're gonna get into the mind of a tax evader. Okay, let me take my last break and we'll close it out. Fuck me. This is a treat, and I will preface that I am a piece of shit. God damn. All right. From the Associated Press. Comedian Carlos Mencia faces 12 felony charges for failing to report more than $8 million in earnings. Comedian Carlos Mencia was arrested Thursday and charged with 12 felony charges for failing to report or pay taxes on more than $8 million in earnings, prosecutors said. Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced the charges at a news conference where he called Mencia one of California's biggest scofflaws. Ooh, what a fun word. The 58-year-old stand-up comic was charged with 6 felony counts to a failure to file personal income tax with the intent to evade taxes, one each for the years 2019 to 2024, and 6 similar counts of corporate taxes. Mencia owes more than $300,000 in state taxes and an income totaling of $8.7 million, Hochman says. On income, sorry. He has not entered a plea. An email sent to his attorney seeking comment was not immediately answered. Mencia was arrested at his Los Angeles home at about 7 a.m., authorities said. He remained in custody Thursday afternoon and was being held on $250,000 bail. He is expected to make his first court appearance on Monday. If he's convicted of all counts, he could get more than 11 years in prison, along with paying the tax bills and interest that will almost double the total. Oof. The charges are the first filed under the new district attorney's new business tax fraud unit that was established in May by Hochman, a former longtime prosecutor of tax cases. Mencia regularly paid taxes before 2019, Hochman said. He was sent 78 notices from the state about his delinquent bills with no response. The charges deal only with state taxes. Hochman said the IRS has not informed his office of Mencia's federal tax status. Now I want to read this quote from Mencia himself. Hochman pointed out at a news conference that on the show in 2007, Mencia said, "Maybe I'm different, but I think taxes are a good thing." Boo. Now, if you don't know, Carlos Mencia, who was born Ned Arnel Holness, made Mind of Mencia. It was a show that a lot of people found very funny and but not my fucking ass. I never fucking did. Every episode I tried to watch, I just felt like I just watched the Chappelle Show, and this feels like a shitty carbon copy of it. I don't like it. I'm not interested in it. And just some of the jokes also just rubbed me wrong, and it just gave me this feeling of like, you have the situation of a guy who I kind of consider a hack and feel like it's a hack, who is stealing black people jokes, making jokes about black people at times. And he's throwing it around to everybody. He's an equal opportunity hater. Okay. But then you see that white people are laughing at that. And it's like, it just makes me feel unsettled, and I don't like it. It's just like, by all means, if you want to make jokes about your culture, your experiences, and all that kind of thing, I get it. That's cool. You're working with your own life and your own material. But that was just kind of something that I felt like, I don't know, Mencia really really wasn't that good at. And I mean, other people, even the great Joe Rogan, accused him of being a hack, being a fraud, stealing people's jokes, which I didn't go that far. But then when I heard the accusation, it didn't surprise me. I wasn't surprised. But Mencia has long defended that. He's balked at it. Said no, I didn't. I think he said at worst I maybe absorbed other comics material, other people's material, but he didn't steal. Okay, he just assimilated it. He just Kirby'd it. Like whatever, man. So I'm sorry. I have tomatoes for this man. Was I rooting for his downfall? Maybe not that far, but I was really glad when Mind and Mencia was done. I good, thank you. Um, yeah, more quality television on Comedy Central, whatever. I think there's like The Daily Show on there now. That's about it. But speaking about it, that's pretty much all we have. I guess I could talk about this real quick. Uh, there's a situation going on in the reflecting pool. We've blown a lot of money. Get out of here. I'm not giving you money, Guardian. Hold on. Let's see. Donald Trump put it 14.2 to clean out and make the reflecting pool this American flag blue for the 250th birthday celebration. But apparently, Mother Nature said, fuck that, dude. We're keeping that shit green. We're keeping that shit money gully green. And that's because of the algae. And yeah, sometimes you just can't beat it, even if you want to throw a bunch of money at it. So yeah, it's definitely giving St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, that story is from, once again, The Guardian. Trump administration compares reflecting pool algae battle to Iran war. I guess we could get into it, but really it's like, yeah, we lost that. We took an L there. You're just talking about our L's that we put in a lot of money for. It didn't get a good investment, ROI. No good return on investment on that. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of cram that story in there on the way out. So there we go. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the efforts, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube, follow on TikTok, follow on Spotify, follow on Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen. Leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is always caring. 5 stars on Spotify, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Just leave a nice review. It would mean a lot to me, but you don't have to. What really means the most is that you just, let me yap to you about my precious little life, my silly little views on the news. So yeah, it really just means the world that you just, stop and listen, hang out. That's pretty chill. It's pretty cool, yeah. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.